Jack R. Bogan Jr., nicknamed Tapper.
My name is Jackson Bogan.
I'm Pat Bailey.
Colin McNeely. Jack is my grandfather. On top of that, he's a mentor, a role model, and happened to be my golf coach.
I mean, I've known Coach Bogan probably since I was 10 years old. Around the club, he was always one of those guys that I always saw on the range, saw on the golf course. He was very competitive. Kind of knew he was involved in the program when they had some coaching issues, and he took the program over and kind of righted the ship, in my opinion.
My relationship to Jack R. Bogan is I am his favorite youngest son.
I started playing golf with my father and my mother and my brother at a very, very early age, and continued playing, played in some youth club championships at the country club, but Bill and I were basically baseball players until after high school.
I started playing golf probably around 4 or 5 years old. I was drug out to the golf course. Both my parents played, and I had the plastic set of golf clubs and would strap them onto the back and run out and hit a ball every so often, and fell in love with the game from then.
I started really playing golf probably my 7th grade year. My brother and I actually got clubs when we were younger, but it was more of a backyard golf type thing. So I always liked golf, but had the Walter Hagen starter set when I was probably 11, 12. Really got into golf and joined a team my 7th grade year, and that's when things started.
I mean, I was hooked at age 7 playing golf with my dad, and hit that first shot that just felt like, oh man, this is great.
I think I really fell in love with the game after college, and then a second time after Jackson decided he wanted to be a golfer. And that just actually got me to really get into it and learn the swing, chipping, putting versus just doing it.
And what really made me fall in love with the game is it's an individual sport. There's nobody to blame but yourself. You got to take ownership of everything you do. You practice hard, you play hard, you learn. I mean, I was blessed to grow up playing with a bunch of older guys, at the club that let me play along and learn and watch. And I think the lifelong, the ability to play lifelong is what's really the key.
The way my family influenced me to play golf was being good at the game. Growing up, I always knew my Uncle Jackson was a very, very good golfer. Grandpa was talked about around town for being a very good golfer as well. And they were both role models to me. I wanted to grow up to be like them, which means I wanted to be a good golfer myself.
I got involved in coaching because the coach that was coaching my daughter decided she was going to have her 4th child, and the time commitment was a little much at that point in time. We searched a little bit trying to find a coach because we wanted somebody for long term. I had told Coach Bourdonnais and the athletic director at that point in time that if we couldn't find somebody, I'd do it for 2 years, and we did, and did so successfully.
The year was 2014. My grandson Colin was a sophomore with 2 pretty good sophomore players, Nick Thomas and Sean Menert. And we didn't have a coach. Tim Bourdonnais called me, asked me if I'd get him started. About 2 weeks later, I called him and asked him if he found a coach. He said no. I said, stop looking, I'm in.
I mean, obviously my lifelong profession as a golf professional led me to come back to try and help, and I saw the need for help, and knowing Coach Bogan as well as I did growing up and stuff, and had a lot of respect for him, just made me want to reach back out and see what I could do to possibly help, and also to help the school, because I think, again, they provided me with a lot of things over my life that you take for granted when you're in school, but then you figure out that what an opportunity you had, and my opportunity was to come back and help.
My favorite players, very easy. They're all family members. Colin McNeely, Halle Bogan, Max Bogan. This year, Jack Bogan, and the last 4 years would be Charlie Seabird. Coaching my family has turned out to be very easy. The first thing I did was told each one of them they couldn't call me Grandpa. They had to call me Coach. That way there wasn't any favoritism. The other thing was during practice, make sure you didn't show any favoritism. If anything, maybe get a little harder on them, and the other players will see that, and it is not a problem. It has been a joy to do that.
I'd say in some ways it was difficult, but mostly it was just really special. I think Grandpa did a very good job of, when it came time for golf, he was coach, and when it was time for anything outside of golf, he was Grandpa. There was another pressure that came along with having Grandpa as a coach, and that was me knowing while I'm playing in tournaments that things would be mentioned later on, right? So if we played a tournament on a Thursday and we were having a family lunch on that Sunday, I knew that if I played well, that would be mostly of what Grandpa would talk about at family lunch that weekend. But also, if things went poorly, that would be talked about too. So it would either be, you know, Colin couldn't miss a fairway and the driver was the best thing in his bag on Thursday, or Colin needs to get back to the short game area because his chipping is really bad.
Coaching with the old man is quite an honor. I've pretty much been able to do it my entire life, and I've had him as a coach for me, both in golf, career, life, etc. And so being able to share a passion that both of us share, and to have the conversations after practice, after a match, what are we working on, what are we doing, the nights of the round table, if you will, when we're discussing the Monday morning meeting, like, okay, we're both in the insurance business, and it was amazing how first thing in the morning insurance sat on the side and what we talked about was golf. And so this gave me memories that I couldn't have created without coaching.
So my greatest story about coaching with Coach Bogan was I had to step in and help the junior high team one day at a match, and so he decided he'd take over practice, and all of our team members around the putting green, and he's over there, and they're goofing off or whatever, and all of a sudden you hear him stop, and you know, he starts getting into him. I mean, into him like where everybody's like, what's going on over at the putting green? And all my junior high kids were around me, and they're all looking over at the putting green, and I said, hey guys, come in here, and I said, and they all like, what? I go, that's varsity golf. And the look in their eyes was like, whoa. I said, well, you know, because it is a varsity sport, and when we don't perform and we don't, you know, act, you know, that's the one thing I like about Coach Bogan is he's willing to get into these guys and tell them, hey, this isn't right. And so we kind of play the good cop, bad cop sometimes, but it's meant to be constructive. It's meant to be, you know, towards a goal, which was we always wanted to win our conference. We always wanted to win sectional. We always wanted to go to regional. You know, we've always dreamed about taking a team to state, and you know, we're going to get there. It's just going to be a matter of do we have the players, and do we have the dedication to get them there.
I think a few key times come to mind when I think about my best memory with Grandpa. One specific one was, I forget after what match, but Grandpa had found a song that he really, really liked, and he ended up deeming it our team song. And it was after a victory. We hopped on the bus. It was an away victory, I remember that. And the smile on his face when he pulled out his iPhone to show us the Hard Work song. He was like a kid in a candy store. It was one of the coolest things. All the boys on the team got behind it as well, and it did become our team song.
Best memory of coaching with my father is probably, it's an overall season. There's not one in particular moment, but the ability to watch my daughter, his granddaughter, play and succeed, especially her final match, or her second final match, in sectionals, coming through and posting a number that was pretty darn impressive. Best memory on the golf course with my father, it's actually pretty easy. It took me a minute to think, but it's actually pretty easy now that I say it. Tuesdays. Every Tuesday after work in the summer, he and my mom and I, mom didn't always make it, Battleground Country Club, 9 holes minimum, playing $1 automatic 2 downs for $1, and it would be signed at the end of it. And those memories I cherish.
I have a whole bunch of favorite memories, but what I'm really proud of is what the guys accomplished in my 6 years of being the head coach. In that time period, we broke every school record except one, and the one was the low score in the sectional or regional, and that is held by Brian Stapleton. Pat Bailey was close at 73. We set all of the sectional and regional low scores. We also won 4 out of 6 conference plays. We lost 1 conference tournament by 2 shots, and I am still PO'd about that, and that will go with me forever. My favorite memory of the girls is the fact you have to remember that 5 years ago we didn't have a girls golf team, and that had been empty for quite a few years. We finally got some ladies together, started playing, and to get out of the sectional in our 3rd year of competition was nothing short of a miracle. Last year was one of my really favorite memories. About 3 weeks to go before the sectional, you could see the intensity, the attitude change, and the sheer determination that they were going to get the job done. That was just wonderful to see that. And not just for golf, but also for the fact that those young ladies learned that when something gets a little tough, they can fight through it and get the job done.
Yeah, the old man has been a coach, I've noticed anyways, his entire life. It is something that he does, and it doesn't matter if it's woodworking, it doesn't matter if it's golf, it doesn't matter if it's life, it doesn't matter if it's school, basketball, whatever. He is a coach in the essence of the word coach. He wants the best for others. And it's a very tough bar to live up to myself, because I don't feel like I have that gene, so to speak. And so watching him do it, it's a hell of a bar to say, hey, I can go do that myself. And we all do it in different ways, but watching him day in and day out, no matter what it is, coach for the betterment of the child is something to live up to.
Being coached by Grandpa made me a better man, both on and off the course. The lessons that he taught us when we were in high school have stuck with me throughout me getting older and being in the real world. I think what's really cool is the amount of times that I reference lessons that Grandpa gave me to people that I work with or to people that I meet on the golf course. I get a lot of compliments on my golf game, and what I do is I attribute those all to Grandpa. Without him, I wouldn't have the golf game that I do. I wouldn't have the passion for the game that I do. So I think it's really cool. It's taught me, it's grown my character, and it really makes me, I don't know, Grandpa instilled like showing up on time and preparation and just a lot of things that really do show up in the real world and make me the man that I am today. On top of that, I'd say Grandpa has a list of some pretty easy rules to follow that he actually wrote me in a letter after graduation. And those are 4 rules that I really do use to guide my life. And those 4 rules, very simple, like I said. Be true to your God, take care of your family, work your butt off, and make me proud. The reason I like those rules is because the last one, make me proud, Grandpa always said, if you do those first 3, I'll be proud of you.
He has influenced me to be a better person, I would say, from the day I was born. I don't think you can narrow it down to one particular thing, to one coaching thing. I would get a little anxiety when I was younger, and it could be about a golf match or a test or a whatever. And he had a way of helping you navigate through that. And I remember I always got a note on pretty much anything that was big to me that I was going to be doing. And I kept every single one of those notes. because they were so special. And it could be 2 words. And oftentimes it would be words that you can't repeat on this camera, because it was his way of saying, hey, go attack it, don't worry about it. And that was throughout anything and everything that I did. I said earlier that he is a coach, and he's a coach in everything that I did, whether it was golf, that's an easy one for us to talk to, but it could be about life. And I've always had the ability to go to him with anything and everything and ask a question and get a direct answer, but to help guide me forward with that correct path.
What I'd tell young golfers, thinking back to when I was just getting into the game, is just become obsessed. Your love for the game is going to grow as you get older, and if you put the work in now, you'll be much happier with the results when you do get out into the real world. I never really understood when Grandpa or Uncle Jackson told me that golf will help you in business, and now that I'm older, going on client meetings and being able to show the game that I've grown since a young age, I would say become obsessed with the game. It's always going to be something that you can play, whether you're 14 or whether you're 65. And what I'd also say is something that Grandpa instilled in me at a very young age, which is go practice at the short game area. There's a lot of guys that can hit a drive 300 yards, but on the days when you can't hit the ball well, it's going to be the short game that comes through for you. And Grandpa made that very apparent, and it showed up in a lot of tournaments when we could rely on our short game because that's what we practiced. So go out to the short game, practice your putting, practice your chipping, getting up and down, and the rest will fall into place.
My advice is realize that you can do it year round. You can practice things indoors when the weather's bad. You can practice when it's outside. It's not all that great, but you got to make a dedicated effort to do something, each and every day or each and every week, even if you're playing another sport. That's the one thing that I know we have at school is that we have a lot of 3-sport athletes, but there's still time to dedicate some off-season time to playing that, to practicing, to do things that just make as simple as watching stuff on TV or watching golf on the weekend. But you got to be willing to be dedicated beyond just the season, our 10 or 12 weeks of the season. It just doesn't work not to do that. And I think that's where, part of it is, I think the girls have an advantage because they play in the fall, so they have all summer. The boys, they don't. So the boys have to figure out a way to practice in the fall and in the winter, coming into spring. I think that's something that you got to be dedicated to do.
My advice to young golfers is pretty simple. Play the game and play it in whatever capacity it is that you want to play it in. If you want to excel and be an exceptional athlete in the sport, then put the dedication and time, practice, effort, chipping and putting mainly, into the game. If you want to play it for a hobby, play it as a hobby and enjoy it. It brings so many things out, whether it be in the corporate world, whether it be from a bonding standpoint with friends and family. It's not very often you get 4 hours of undivided attention with someone. And if you're trying to make a business deal, that 4 hours can make a difference. If you're trying to just bond with your children, one of my favorite days of the year, I get to play golf with my 2 sons and my daughter on Father's Day. That's my Father's Day gift every year, and it is one of my favorite days of the year. So my advice, play the game, play it how you want to play it, and enjoy it. It's an amazing sport.
Young players who get into golf, my advice to you is enjoy it, love it, and work as hard at it as you want to whatever level you want to become. You're so blessed. In my day, when the winter got here, we put our clubs away. That was it. Nowadays, there's indoor facilities to practice all winter long. When you were a golf team, which I did not do, but when the weather was bad, you were done. Nowadays, you can go inside and still hit golf balls if the practice is canceled. So the opportunity is there like it has not been for years. Please work at the game, and if you really want to score, work on the short game.
Jack isn't just a coach, but he's a family man, a businessman, and most importantly, a role model for all young players.
The last thing I want to say is just thank you, Grandpa, for getting me into this game that I love so much. I can't even describe what it's done for me with friendships, golf trips, relationships at work, really just in all of life. I think golf has made me a better person, more patient, and it's grown relationships with me and my friends that I'll cherish for a lifetime. And all of those things, I can thank you, Grandpa.